The twin moons of Tharik glowed faintly in the night sky as an Earth transport ship descended onto the outer planet's rocky surface. Nick Reynolds, a former combat engineer turned intergalactic freight hauler, had landed for what was supposed to be a routine supply drop. But routine had a funny way of becoming anything but in Nick's life. As he trekked through the dusty trading post, his sharp eyes noticed something unusual. A pair of small alien children huddled in an alley, their large violet eyes wide with fear. Their skin, a faint blue shimmer, was caked with dirt, and they wore nothing but tattered robes. Nick felt a tug at his heart. He was no stranger to orphans. Earth had its share after the Martian conflict. But something about these two seemed different. Against his better judgment, Nick approached. "You two all right?" he asked, his voice softer than usual. The twins flinched but didn't run. They were clearly frightened, but there was an intelligence in their gaze. The taller one, presumably the elder, stepped forward. "Please, help us," the child whispered in a dialect Nick barely recognized but could translate thanks to his neural implant. Nick crouched to their level. "What's your name?" "I'm Taya. This is my brother Rek," the elder replied. We have nowhere to go." Nick had half a mind to turn them over to the local authorities, but the hollow look in their eyes reminded him too much of his own past. The wars, the loss, the countless children left behind. "All right," he said with a sigh. "You two are coming with me." Months passed, and Taya and Rek became part of Nick's life aboard the Reliant Star. Though they never spoke much about their past, Nick knew there was more to them than they let on. They were remarkably intelligent, grasping complex engineering concepts and even helping him repair the ship's stubborn systems. Their calm demeanor and odd habit of speaking in hushed tones about things that felt too ancient for children gnawed at Nick's curiosity. One day, while making repairs in the engine room, Nick heard a faint humming, something he hadn't heard before. Following the sound, he found the twins sitting cross-legged on the floor, hands outstretched. They were manipulating a strange energy field, a phenomenon Nick had never seen, not even in his many years traveling the stars. "What the hell?" Nick blurted, stepping back. Taya looked up, her eyes glowing faintly. "It's time we told you the truth," she said calmly. "We're not just orphans. We are the last heirs of the House of Zalyth." Nick blinked. The House of Zalyth, the royal family of the Zalanar system? His mind raced. The Zalanar dynasty had been wiped out in a violent coup years ago. It had been a major galactic event, so much so that even Earth knew about it. Rek nodded, his young face serious. "Our family was betrayed by those who sought power. We were sent away by our parents to keep us safe. But we didn't make it far before we were stranded on that outpost where you found us." The weight of their words settled over Nick like a heavy cloak. These kids weren't just some lost refugees. They were royal blood, the rightful rulers of an entire star system. Over the next few weeks, Nick learned more about their past. The House of Zalyth had ruled for centuries, known for their wisdom and fairness, but political rivals had conspired to overthrow them, seizing power in a brutal coup. Taya and Rek had been spirited away by loyalists in the hopes that one day they might reclaim their birthright. But their ship had been damaged, leaving them stranded and alone. Nick had always been a man of action, not politics. Yet, as he looked at the two kids, two heirs without a throne, he couldn't help but feel protective. They were just children, but they had the weight of an entire star system on their small shoulders. "I didn't sign up for royal drama," Nick said one night as he sat with them in the cockpit, stars drifting past the viewport. "But if you're going to make a stand, you're going to need help." Taya looked at him with those intense violet eyes. "You've already helped us more than we could have ever imagined. But we can't ask for more." Nick smirked. "Who said anything about asking? I'm not just going to drop you off at the nearest spaceport. We're in this together now." The trio began to gather allies, tapping into the vast network of smugglers, traders, and former soldiers Nick had encountered during his time as a hauler. Word spread slowly but surely. The royal heirs of Zalyth lived, and they were preparing to reclaim their throne. Of course, the usurpers weren't going to take this lightly. As the days passed, Nick taught Taya and Rek how to defend themselves, how to navigate the cutthroat world of interstellar politics, and even how to fly the Reliant Star in combat scenarios. They weren't just royalty. They were becoming warriors. When the time came to make their move, the Zalanar system was ablaze with tension. The usurpers had gotten wind of the Heirs' return and fortified their strongholds. But Nick and his ragtag fleet had something the usurpers didn't: the loyalty of the people and the element of surprise. The final battle over Zalyth Prime was fierce, but in the end, Taya and Rek's forces prevailed. With Nick by their side, they stood before the Galactic Council, the rightful heirs of the Zalyth dynasty restored to their throne. As Taya and Rek took their places as rulers, Nick couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. He had gone from a simple hauler to a man who helped shape the future of a star system. Taya, now Queen of Zalyth, smiled at him from the throne. "You will always have a place here, Nick," she said. "You saved us." Nick grinned. "Maybe, but you too saved me right back." And with that, the Earthling and the royal twins began the next chapter of their journey, one where the stars themselves seemed a little brighter.